Are you wasting your time with these exercises? Sean here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood, and before I begin, I should clarify, technically there's no such thing as wasting time when you're exercising, but I know how valuable your time is, so you want to try to make things as efficient as possible. So I do have 4 types of exercises, or 4 exercises in general, that I just don't think are a good use of your energy and probably not getting the type of benefit that you're hoping to get out of them. So without further ado, we're going to go over these 4 exercises that I think are just very inefficient based off what your goals for trying to do them would be. Number 1, and this one drives me crazy because I see it all the time and it's such an easy fix. It's incline walking on the treadmill. Wait for it. While holding on to the treadmill. Okay, so I see this all the time. I was doing this today. It's one of my favorite forms of exercise in terms of cardio because you're burning a ton of calories without really putting much strain on your nervous system or joints. So it's a great workout. Now, I was doing this today and I noticed a lot of other people were doing the same thing, but every other person was holding onto the treadmill while they were doing it. And it makes it a lot easier if you've ever tried that before. And that's because it defeats the purpose. If you're holding onto the treadmill, you're not really going on an incline anymore. You might as well just walk flat, whether it's on a treadmill or outside, and get those same type of benefits. But the benefits that you get from going on an incline are only going to be there if you're not holding on. And a lot of people don't do this because it's harder. And like I said, that's kind of the point. So if you're considering doing an incline walk on the treadmill, speed-wise, depends on your fitness level. I like to keep it at a base 3.0 miles an hour. So it's a brisk walk, but it's not too fast. And then the incline is really what's going to separate from someone who is a novice versus someone who's more advanced. So the higher the better, right? But the more advanced you are, the higher you can go. And a lot of treadmills will go up to about 15, which is where I typically go. But a lot of people say this is kind of a beginner-friendly workout. When you're going at that incline, it's not beginner-friendly. So the higher you can go, the better, but start slow, work your way up. One of the best kind of workouts I like to do on the treadmill with the incline is start it at 0.5 and then every minute increase it by 0.5 and see how high you're able to go. These type of workouts I like to do anywhere between 25 to 45 minutes. So incline workouts, incline walking on the treadmill, it's a great exercise, but do not make the mistake of holding onto the treadmill because you're just wasting all that time, you're wasting all that energy, you're not getting the benefits that you're trying to get from that movement. Number 2 is direct forearm training. And I will be the first to admit, having good forearms is a good look. But there's just so many more efficient ways to accomplish this rather than doing isolated forearm exercises. I don't think I've ever done a forearm exercise in my life. And some of the guys I know with the biggest forearms, again, they've never done a forearm exercise in their life as well. So the best way to build your forearms is during heavy compound movements. The problem with a lot of these exercises is the grip is what's going to be the limiting factor. And a lot of guys don't want that to be the case, understandably so. But when the grip's no longer the limiting factor, or when the grip is a limiting factor and you want to take that away, a lot of guys will do stuff like using machines. They'll throw a barbell on their back. They'll use straps. They'll do switch grips. They'll do all this stuff to take their grip out of the equation, which is great for working the muscle that they're targeting, but they're not really working the forearms. So the forearms always become the limiting factor, and then the rest of your muscles grow at a disproportional rate. And the problem with growing or doing any sort of isolation exercises with the forearms is it doesn't work nearly to the same extent that just doing heavy compound movements would be. So whether it's doing deadlifts with a heavy barbell, double overhand grip, it could be bent over rows, it could even be pull-ups, holding onto heavy dumbbells, farmer carries, all of these exercises where you're just holding heavy weights and allowing the grip to be the limiting factor, in my opinion, is the best way to build those forearms. So in my opinion, don't waste your time doing those isolation movements. Number 3 is direct ab training. So don't get it twisted. I think training your core in general is important, especially when you're training your core for the purpose of strengthening and stabilizing your spine. Now, it's important to understand that the core isn't just your six-pack muscles. So it's not just about doing crunches and sit-ups and those type of movements. So think of the core as a large belt that wraps around your entire torso. So if you're training your core with the sheer purpose of just strengthening and supporting and stabilizing the spine, by all means, go for it. I think you should do that. But if you're direct training your abs with the hope and intent of getting your abs to pop more, it's probably not going to work. The exception here would be if you already have very visible abs, or at least somewhat visible abs, it can help. But unless you're, I'd say, at least below 15% body fat, there's really no benefit of strengthening your abs directly, like direct ab training, like sit-ups and crunches, working on those six-pack muscles. Because until you get that layer of fat on top of the six-pack to go away, you're not gonna really see a pop. And just remember, your abs are like any other muscle, meaning if you train it a lot, it's gonna grow. So it's gonna actually give you the illusion of having a bigger waistline rather than smaller sometimes. So ab training, direct ab training can be beneficial if you're already lean and you wanted to get them to pop a little bit more. They're also not super valuable when it comes to strengthening your overall core. So if you want to strengthen your core, don't just do the six-pack muscles. It's important to understand what some of those other muscles are, what some of those other movements are, and do those instead of just the direct six-pack muscles. And number 4, combination exercises. So where you're trying to work 2 or more different muscle groups or movements in one exercise. I understand the appeal. You're trying to become more efficient. You're trying to get more done. And I think the one exception where this can be valuable is if you're very, very short on time and you need to get a workout done really quickly. Now, this should not be a foundational element of your workout routine, in my opinion, unless you're training for something specific. So the problem with doing these combination movements, like a lunge and a curl at the same time, or a squat into a press, or a deadlift into a row, these combo movements where you're trying to become very efficient, is one is going to be stronger than the other. So the stronger exercise or the stronger movement doesn't really get any sort of benefit from that movement because you're always limited by the weaker one. And even so, you're not able to really provide the same amount of stability, focus, and intensity on either one, so you're just kind of spinning your tires. If you're thinking about doing a combination movement and working 2 separate muscles, what I would do is just break them up. Do each exercise individually unless you're very short on time and you need to get a workout in and out. And even then, I would argue there are probably better ways of doing it. You can skip the combination exercises. So the good news is all 4 of these are very fixable. The first one, incline treadmill, holding on to the treadmill, just let go and you'll get the benefits. Number 2, instead of doing direct forearm training, just do heavy compound lifts. Not only will you get better results, but you'll do it in much shorter time. Number 3, direct ab training only if you're already lean. Otherwise, you can skip the direct ab training and focus just on core training. And then number 4, instead of doing your combination exercises, just split them up and do them separately. If you enjoy videos like this, do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys in the next one.